Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are here for the fourth tech spotlight from the Legends of the set 2 for Riftbound, which is Spiritforged. Today I'm bringing you Jax Grandmaster at Arms. So this legend, Jax Grandmaster at Arms, I think. So I'll start with my thoughts basically. I think that of all the equipment legends, Jax might be the more sketchy one. Why? Because Ornn allows you to play some of the best cards. You play ahead of your opponent in the resources, and Azir, as I talked on the last video, Azir just gives you tokens whenever you play equipment. So it's kinda giving you a way of keeping creatures on board. And as you know, Riftbound is a game where you have to play to the board, because you win by conquering battlefields. So if you don't have creatures, if you don't have a board presence, you won't win the game. And Jax doesn't give you creatures, it doesn't give you resources. Instead, well, it kinda gives you resources, but it's way more strict than Ornn. Ornn will help you pay for your gears, he can help you pay your equip costs, he can even pay your sigils. If you then want to use your sigils every turn to get even more resources. Jax, on the other hand, he will just move equipment around. This is good. It's not a bad ability, but it doesn't give you value. It's not as flexible as Horn, and it makes your equipment deck kinda sketchy, in the sense that you'll have to draw perfectly between your interaction, gear, and creatures in order to win the game. However, these two colors are very powerful. These are the colors from Master Yi from the first set, arguably the second best deck in the meta, tied close with Annie, I would say. And it has one of the most powerful signature spells in the set, and that's why I'm interested in Jax. So let's go over the rest of the list. I just did equal split, nothing very crazy on the runes. Then we have for the battlefields. Sorry, I was trying to adjust the volume of the music. For the battlefields, I chose to have Grove of the God Willow, Sunken Temple, and River's Row, so you can save your creatures on the defense. Your deck is probably better conquering than holding, as most decks are, really. Sunken Temple is just a way of you getting draws. I've thought about playing the one that whenever you target the unit with a spell you get to draw, but then I found out you don't have all that many spells that target your own units. Let's start with the champion units. So we have 3 Jax Unrelenting. This is the orange Jax. He costs 4 energy, 1 orange power. He has 3 might. And then he has Weapon Master that synergizes well with the deck because you're running a lot of equipment for Weapon Master to be good. And then you have, when you attach an equipment to me, you may pay 1 and draw 1. So this is the way in which we are trying to draw cards. So I would play 3 of these Jax within the deck and put one of the other one on the champion zone, per se. Why? Because you wanna have this ability like every game. That's why you run 3 in the deck. It's still not guaranteed that you draw him, but I think the other ability is way more powerful as a one-off that is always available. I would be I would be convinced to have this on the chosen champion zone, but I would still run 2 more in the deck. This effect is just what keeps you going. If you don't have this draw, the deck just runs short on cards, and it's not where you wanna be at all. Um, then we have this is probably the deck in which I included the biggest number of new cards. So I have one Defy just to a catch-all solution to things, 2 Sabotage, 1 Charm, and then we have 1 Brutalizer as our... Oh, it's not first equipment, I skipped Warmogs up there. So Brutalizer is a 2 energy equipment that just gives 1 might and says if this was attached to me this turn, I have an additional 2 might. I'm still split between running the second one of these or the first Warmogs, just because Jax moves equipment around for free, and this ability is really good when you can switch equipment around. It's basically just a +3 might free stat boost, and that's what Jax is about. But going back just to Warmog's armor, it's an orange equipment that costs 1 energy, which is the cheapest you've got in this deck. And then it has when I conquer, buff me. It's pretty simple, +1 might. Not much to say. It's just generally good. I think Brutalizer provides more stats than this. The thing is, because you want to move equipment around, leaving something behind like a buff might be useful. So imagine you have 2 units, you put these on one of them, you conquer one side, you get the buff. You move these to the other unit, you conquer on the other side, you get a buff. Jax provides the kind of utility that makes this Warmog be good. So that's why I think this card should be in the deck, and I wouldn't run it over a second Brutalizer, even though both of them are pretty good. Then we have 2 Guardian Angel. I've talked about it in previous decks that included green. I think Guardian Angel is generally a very good card and will play in almost every green deck. There's no reason not to. Calm played Zonia's before, and Guardian Angel for me is just strictly better than Zonia's, because you get to choose which creature you're saving. Then for the 2 drop slot, here we just have a bunch of new cards. So let's talk first about Apprentice Smith. When I move, reveal the top card of your main deck. If it's a gear, draw it, otherwise recycle it. So this is basically a way to try and draw your gears as an extra. So this is basically card draw, but you have to work a little bit for it. Then we have Veteran Poro. It's just a 2 energy, 2 might with a Weapon Master. I think it's really good in here. Poros were generally good as 2 drops in the previous set, and I think this one is no exception, especially because this deck is just based around equipment, and having Weapon Master will save you some resources. Most of our creatures that I chose to include in the deck have Weapon Master. Then we have Lonely Poro, which is 2 energy, 2 might. It has Death Knell. If I die alone, draw 1. So because you generally want to be conquering points, you just don't want to stack too many things on one point, this guy will be useful. You just equip it with something, it grows a little bit, Then you attack, you conquer, you leave him on the point. If it dies, it will give you a draw. It's pretty good. I would be convinced into running other 2-drops, but I find these ones pretty good. Now, the card that makes the deck. I think this card is absolutely broken, and let me explain you why. So, Counter Strike is 2 energy, 1 might, 1 power of any of your colors, and it's a reaction. So you can play it on your opponent's turn, and it says choose a unit. The next time that unit would be dealt damage this turn, prevent it. Draw 1. So, what this does is save your units from dying from damage. How do you use this card and why is it broken? It is broken because it can save like a 2 might unit from a 8 might attacker. It doesn't matter how big the opponent is. You just play this, your creature won't die, you get to draw. And as you know, if you played Origins, Origins had Leona. Leona was about stunning, and if you stun your opponent when they attack, they don't deal damage to you. If they don't deal damage to you, if they are unable to kill your defenders, what happens is they have to go back to base. They don't get to conquer. So this is virtually the same thing, but it doesn't matter how many attackers there are. If you just play this on your creature, it will save you from all the combat damage that turn, or that attack, to be more precise. If your opponent chooses to attack with one creature at once, it will only prevent the damage for the first time, because it says the next time that unit would be dealt damage this turn. But mind you, all combat damage is assigned on the same step, so for one combat you're basically immune to damage. Your opponent has to be aware that this card exists, otherwise it will just play into your hands, most likely. This is one great combat trick. Besides it draws you a card, it can help you hold. This is the one card that will almost always assure that you can hold a point. Unless your opponent has multiple attacks, good attacks into your creature, and they will just do one to bait you into using this. And then if you do use this, he will attack again. And, well, there's also no... there's nothing stopping you from using multiple of these in the same turn. Like, if you have 2, you're immune to 2 combat phase attacks, basically. This also prevents your creatures from your units from dying to like Kaisa removal. Although it's just a single unit that this can save, it's pretty good. Like, you wait that your opponent chooses the targets for Falling Star, and then if it's like 2 targets on the same creature, you prevent it and get to draw 1, you put yourself so ahead in the game. It's almost unbelievable. I think this is the card that makes you want to play Jax. You don't play Jax to play with equipment. You don't play Jax to want to play with his colors because Mastery exists. You play Jax because of this one spell. I think the signature spell is absolutely broken. This card is dumb. And if you're playing Jax, make sure you play with this card because it is insane. Let's go on. So then we have 3 Strike Down. I put this card in the list mostly to experiment with it, but I'm not sure this is better than Challenge. It costs 1 more energy than Challenge. Maybe I should read what this does before talking about it. So this is a 3 energy, 1 orange power spell that says choose an equipped friendly unit. It deals damage equal to its might to an enemy unit, then detach an equipment from it. mind you, your unit doesn't have to have an equipment. It just unattaches one if there is one. So if you have like a Dead Bloom Predator and it's an 8 might unit and you want to use it as a target to this, you don't need um, you don't need to remove any equipment from it. At least that's my rules interpretation. There might be a clarification coming out to clarify how this works in practice, but I think that's what it does. Also, I think that when you declare targets, you only have to specify which of your units it targets. Then it's just on resolution that you choose which enemy you deal damage to, but I might be wrong about this. These are the two things I'm unsure about this card. But let's keep going with comparing these to challenge. So challenge costs 1 less energy, but the creature you're targeting doesn't deal damage back to you. And that's very relevant, because you won't die to like a pump spell in response, or something like that. And that's relevant. But you'll be always paying one more for this, and that's the part in which it becomes kind of sketchy, because 1 energy, especially at this breakpoint between 2 and 3, it's quite a big price to pay. You usually, most of the good cheap interaction is costed around 1-2 energy. 3, it's quite a bit more. The part that this unequips an equipment from your units, I don't think it is a big deal, but I'll need a couple more playtesting with these cards. I haven't printed this deck out yet, because I mean there's a limited number of sleeves and deck boxes and stuff that I have to test all the decks. I've printed like 3 or 4 decks from the next set, and this one I haven't gotten to it yet. This is basically my brainstorming around the cards that exist spoiled, which are all of them, but nonetheless. So then we have Lucian Merciless. I think this is probably the best 3-drop that we have available. I still included one first mate because I just love the untapping all that much. I think that heading units is very, very strong, and having that ability or possibility gives you some plays in the late game that are pretty cool. Or even in the mid game, you can just play a 2-drop and tap it and attack something the turn they enter. While this Lucian has Weapon Master, and it says the first time I conquer each turn, ready me. So pretty standard. I think Lucian does what you want to do in this deck, which is you equip it, you attack, you conquer, you do whatever triggers you have to do. For example, with the battlefield, if your unit is mighty, you pay 1, you draw. Lucian will draw with almost all equipment in the deck, because he's very, very close to the 5 might. I think that besides Warmog, every equipment the turn it equips will give him at least 5 power. And then you can just attack, you conquer, you come back to stay safe and conquer the next turn again. I think that's how you play Lucian. And it fits the deck really well. Also, and very, very relevant, I didn't mention this, but this is one of the few champion units that doesn't cost power. And that's very relevant for this deck, because the deck is very power hungry, and Lucian not costing a power is very, very important. So, moving on, then we have the one first made, as I told you, and we have 3 Boneshiver. I think that this card is probably one of the best equipment available for this deck, and I also think that it is the one card that um, saves you from just burning power. Because this deck is very power hungry. It will want to consume your runes. And Boneshiver is 3 energy, gives +2 might. Uh, the equip cost is 1 power and 1 energy. I think you still have to pay the energy even if you have Weapon Master. But it says, when I conquer, channel 1 rune exhausted. And this is great for this deck. Because everything costs power in this deck, and ramping up, it's pretty useful. Or at least it pays for itself. If you the turn it and you equip this, if you can conquer, you get the rune back. That's pretty good. There's not much to say. Boneshiver is good. Then we have 2 Aphelios. I could argue that you might want to have 3 just because of his abilities. The thing is, it competes for your champion unit slot that also costs 4. And probably whenever you can, you want to play Jax and not Aphelios. But they are pretty good together. So what Aphelios does is a 4 energy, 1 green power for a 4 might champion unit. When you attach an equipment to me, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Ready 2 runes, channel 1 rune exhausted, buff a friendly unit. Man, these abilities are all pretty great. The fact that you can equip him for free with Jax and then ready 2 runes, so imagine this: you have played Aphelios on your second turn, and then you untap. You have 5 runes. You can tap your 5 runes, equip something to Aphelios, and then ready 2 runes, and effectively you get 7 energy that turn. So you can play like a Tasty Faithful on turn 3. Obviously not accelerated, but it's still a very powerful thing to do. Channeling runes is also pretty cool. It's basically free equip cost, so you channel. You have to exhaust a rune. Not exhaust, sorry. You have to ship 1 rune to the bottom of the deck, the rune deck, in order to equip, and then you get the rune back. So it's basically free equip. That's very good, especially because this deck wants to have a bunch of equipment, and so free equip cost is always good, even if it's not worded like Weapon Master. And then buffing other units is also relevant. Not as relevant as the other 2, but still good. It will come up for sure that you need 1 more might to just break a point. And the Aphelios can do that for you. Then I included 1 Trinity Force, but I can be convinced to have 2 because this deck, as I told you, it's not meant to be holding, but because of Counter Strike, the signature spell, it will happen more often than not, because Counter Strike is just that broken. Then we have 2 Yone Blade Master, which is a 5 energy, 1 orange power, 5 might unit with Weapon Master. When I conquer an open battlefield, deal damage equal to my might to an enemy unit in a base. Whew, this ability is nuts. So this is basically removal to units in base if you're able to conquer with Yone. Mind you that if basically Weapon Master gave you a free equip, this is gonna be like a 7 might to 8 might unit. Shooting something in base for 8 is almost always gonna kill it. No matter... It has to be real big to not die to this. My issue with Yone is that it's kinda telegraphed because it doesn't have accelerate. Most of these units actually don't have accelerate, and that's why I like first mate. Maybe I should run more first mates in the deck. Um, and then it's telegraphed so your opponent can play around with this, not allowing you to shoot something in base. And then we have two tasty Faithful because accelerate and because it's just a good unit. It's very well sized. It's very known from Origin set if you've played with the cards. The Death Knell trigger is good, so it's worth the investment. If they kill your tasty Faithful, you'll get your runes back. You'll get to draw a card. It's just good to flow through your deck. Then we have two Unwilling Spirit on the sideboard, one Sabotage. They are pretty self-explanatory. Not so fast to protect your gears, to counter stuff that targets your creatures, because they are also pretty valuable. And then we have Disarming Rake. I mean, this is gonna be a staple in all sideboards, even probably on main deck. Because this guy just destroys enemies' gear, and this set is gear based, so I don't see why you shouldn't play this. And that's about it for today's deck spotlight. I'll be back tomorrow with Irelia. I also have a lot of cool things to say about Irelia. So I'll see you then. Bye.